the one person we reached out to, he responded. So, I was joking in the newsletter that this is 100% response rate, which, it could be either 0 or 100%. So, yeah, quite cool. Yeah, he's pretty much saying that he is not really the kind of guy we were looking for, but still he is a full stack developer. He uses React and Node.js. So this is precisely what we were looking for. And even though he's not the video expert, probably he could be a good fit. So I would leave this for the engineering team to decide eventually. So good catch indeed, right? Like we got into the discussion, he got to know me, I got to know him. I'll upload him to the applicant tracking system with his consent, right? So like we are getting some traction here, building the talent pool. So it's always important. Cool. If you guys have any question, feel free to use the chat as the last time. You can also raise your hand up if you'd like to talk. Then I can just promote you to the speaker so you can speak. And Dimple is asking, where can you see the previous webinar? I actually uploaded it on YouTube. So no, this is not the first session. Like I was recording similar ones a month ago, 2 months ago or so, probably half a year ago. I don't know, like time flies are crazy. So there were several sessions like this. Last week, I sent calendar invites through Zoom, so it could be seen as the first one, but there are several ones on YouTube already. And also the one from last Friday has been uploaded probably on Wednesday or Thursday. So yeah, just check out the YouTube channel. You know what? I'll just send you a link, okay? YouTube, probably this channel. Yeah, right here. And I just hit 4,000 subscribers on the channel. So that's really cool. Thanks guys for watching those videos. And like sometimes I'm joking that 4,000 feels a lot, but there is any teenager out there who pretty much pukes anything on YouTube and they have millions of followers or subscribers. And sometimes this kind of an intellectual professional content is not the most viral on YouTube. So it's just I'm just scratching the surface comparing to some teenagers who are just shaking their asses on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever. Okay, cool guys. So for those of you who are here for the first time, like I've seen Hina, for example. Just a quick reminder, like we are organizing this as a part of the Tech Recruitment Academy with the intention to provide you guys the support platform. I'm also a tech recruiter. I've been a CTO, so I know IT sort of intimately, even though at the same time it's always evolving, always changing. So I, by any means don't really remember any of those IT terms and terminology. So that's why all these materials are also for me, some of these mind maps to help me remember. So if you are transitioning from non-tech recruitment, it will be so much harder for you. And that's why we have this digital support platform, this academy, where we look at how to close more candidates, how to find them, how to source them, how to fill vacancies like backend developers, front-end, PHP, full stack. Oh yeah, the mind maps are actually our best-selling product. So yeah, I use them myself, right, and also my colleagues. So we organize these bi-weekly mentoring calls where we usually look at some case study. We also have created dozens of video courses that go through some of these IT essentials, because these IT essentials enable you, after you understand them, you are able to analyze JDs, you are able to talk to candidates with confidence. So I recorded over 300 videos. I got carried away probably a little, but they are structured and they can take you step by step to understand the overall IT landscape. The sourcing webinars, like look at this guy, smiling here. Oh, sometimes, it's too much fun with this IT recruitment. So yeah, like this is also supposed to help you identify who is a good fit. The books and booklets and mind maps focus on different parts of the tech recruitment process. And we also have these mind maps as the best-selling product. Usually, recruiters around the world buy it. So if you don't have it, then you just may want to get this or join the academy, and you will get it for free as a member. The step-by-step program, actually, every month I organize with a group of 20 recruiters. So maybe some of you have already joined. And this is really cool because we have a chance to have a call where everyone is just present, and we have a chance to talk. So it's not just the webinar, but this is a series of live sessions and discussions, interaction. Plus, you could also get access to our job board, so you can start recruiting for some of our clients right away, which is really cool if you would like to earn some more money on the side. And some of you may not have clients, some of you have lots of clients, like Dimple. I guess you have lots of clients and not enough capacity. But I know that some of you are just transitioning and you may not have clients, so you can join our job board and you can start working for our clients right away, and we will split commission. All right. So if you at any point would like to join the academy, then just go to https techrecruitmentacademy.com. Okay. So coming back to this sourcing part, last week it was this full stack developer, was it, or front end, someone who is stronger in the front end, but also has some backend experience, someone who understands the video kind of landscape, the video codecs and whatnot. But today we will focus on mobile app developers. And sometimes it's quite unclear who the hiring manager is looking for, especially because there are a few ways how mobile applications could be developed. So I'm sure you guys also use either Android or iPhone, right? Like there's pretty much nothing else these days. There used to be BlackBerry and Microsoft, but these days, yeah, it's just Android and iOS, which it's a little easier, but still there are a few ways how these apps could be developed. So either native or cross-platform. So I'll just explain this at first, and then you will see how this impacts how to actually find those developers. Okay. So if there are any questions, and I actually see one, I wanted to know how can I send tests to data scientists? Oh, that's a good question. I can show you, Dimple, the tool we use. I'll just cover this part and then I'll answer your question, okay? Cool. So there are two ways how mobile applications could be developed, and it also defines who is the mobile app developer eventually. So mobile apps. So the mobile apps could be either native or cross-platform. Native or cross-platform. So by native, we are usually referring to applications that are native to Android or native to iOS. So the word native refers to something that is only for that particular platform. So for example, a native iOS application or native Android application, or this word is also sometimes referring to desktop applications. So some of you may see, oh yeah, thanks for the info. I just sent the link to panelists. So this word may refer to desktop Windows application only, or desktop Macintosh only. Okay, so that's just referring to the application that only works on that one platform. So the one platform could either be iOS or Android. Okay, so probably half of you guys here uses iOS and the other half uses Android. And that's pretty much it, right? There is no BlackBerry anymore, no Microsoft mobile applications, because Microsoft deprecated the mobile platform a year ago or 2 years ago. So it's just iOS and Android. And the cross-platform, also sometimes referred to as hybrid application, is something that can run on both platforms. So the huge advantage of cross-platform applications is that development teams can only have one development team or one developer, and the one developer can create both applications for Android and iOS. So if I were to use some real-world example, in my previous company where I was the CTO, we were building a mobile application, and the mobile application was running on iOS and on Android. So we were building native application, and we had to have two different teams, one Android development team and one iOS development team, which, if you look at it from the company standpoint, it's quite expensive, right? You have to have two different teams, but that two different teams build the same. So it's like you replicate and spend twice as much money to accomplish the same, because React Native, yes, we will get to those frameworks that are used for cross-platform app development. Yes, React Native is plus Titanium. We will get there. Yeah, good spot. So thinking of the costs to develop native applications, you pretty much double the costs. So your clients, if you are looking for developers to join your clients, they need to have both Android and iOS developers, and they pay salaries for both of them. And the alternative to this native app development is so-called cross-platform or hybrid app development, which means that one JavaScript developer can create both iOS or Android applications. As you can imagine, the company can save costs because suddenly they only pay one developer, the JavaScript or C# developer, and this developer creates either or. And as with everything in life, everything has some pros and cons. The cross-platform hybrid development is usually better for some simpler applications, while the native app development is usually better for some more advanced applications, maybe some games or some like really advanced applications like Facebook, for example, right? Or Instagram or Snapchat, something that is processing some videos, or for example, maps, Google Maps, right? Like these are the native applications. So as an example, we could say, I don't know, Facebook or Google Maps. Okay, so some of these more advanced applications, while hybrid applications are usually better for maybe news, something that is relatively easy. So just a feed of articles, so just news. And then the question is, how do development teams create these hybrid applications? So they either use JavaScript or they use C#. Or C#. And JavaScript or C# eventually generates the iOS and Android. And probably you cannot see it. Actually, I just realized right here, you cannot see it on the bottom. So like this. Okay, so JavaScript and C# produce iOS and Android application. So now, for us as recruiters, it's important to realize that we are either looking for JavaScript developers or C# developers or iOS native developers or Android native developers. So iOS could be created with programming languages like Objective-C, or Swift. Android with Java or Kotlin. And now, it probably is not the most beautiful mind map out there, but remember, there is always this booklet that you can get, and all these mind maps are so much nicer here, right? It's much more beautiful here, and you can print it out. I'm just trying to, find some sweet spot between spending too much time crafting it and being still productive. So hopefully you can still read it, but I'll read it again for you. So native applications, either iOS or Android. So iOS applications are created either with Objective-C or Swift language. Now, again, this is important for us in recruitment because we will be looking for Objective-C developers or Swift developers if the hiring manager says they are looking for an iOS developer. If the hiring manager is looking for an Android developer, we will be looking for either a Java or Kotlin developer. Okay. If the hiring manager says they are building hybrid application, then we would ask what programming language do they use, either JavaScript or C#, and that's who we'll be looking for, either JavaScript developer or a C# developer. Okay, so hopefully this doesn't sound like rocket science to you guys. I'm sure that you've been hearing some of these terms in the last I don't know, few months or years, because iOS developers or Android developers, this is one of the mainstream roles, or JavaScript developers or Objective-C Swift. Like, hopefully none of these is completely new to you. It's just good to be able to frame it in some way, because as soon as you can, then you will know what keywords to use. As an example, we'll be looking for this iOS native developer. So that means we will be looking for Objective-C or Swift developer. So Objective-C has been used historically since iPhone 3 or 4 was released. So since the very initial version of the iOS platform. And Swift is the new modern replacement of Objective-C. And again, Java has been here for, I don't know, 20 years or even more. So Java is well established. Billions of devices use it. And Kotlin is the newer version of Java. It's been built on sort of on top of Java. Developers have been inspired by Java and they created this new language, programming language. So if the hiring manager is looking for an Android developer, then you are looking for a developer who uses either Java or Kotlin. And if hybrid, then JavaScript or C#. Okay, so this tells us who to look for on a really high level. So yeah, thanks Irena for the quick feedback. Now if we just look at the job requirement, I'll show it to you. It's right here. I'll share the screen. This one. Okay, so iOS developer. So if the hiring manager says, hey, I'm looking for an iOS developer, can you send me some CVs? Then obviously you would be looking for, the keyword iOS developer. That goes without saying. But still, it's good to go a little beyond this to understand who exactly. So the first question, if they just say we're looking for iOS developer, is just to clarify if they are really looking for the iOS native app developer, because the alternative is the hybrid cross-platform development. And in that case, you would not be looking for an Objective-C or Swift developer, but you would be looking for a JavaScript or a C# developer, right? So looking at this JD, the company is seeking for iOS developer to implement cutting-edge iOS applications. The candidate must possess passion for mobile with strong iOS development experience. Job duties. As an iOS developer, you will create wireframes, mockups. Well, that's obvious. You will develop iOS mobile application using Objective-C Swift. Okay, so now we know they don't mention the keyword native at all, but we know that Objective-C and Swift is used for native development. So we are looking for an iOS developer who has been working with native applications. Using Xcode, well, that's sort of mainstream. You will support deployments, is just fluff, ready to make an impact. So 3 years experience building native. Now you see the keyword native. It's right here. Very good. So 3 years of experience. So someone mid-level, not too senior, not too junior. So someone in between, mid-level developer, bachelor's degree, demonstrated ability. Okay, so yet again, the same repetition, knowledge of REST web services. So consuming, not creating, but consuming. And keep in mind our devices, whether you use Android or iOS, our devices communicate with backend systems, because otherwise it would be just like disconnected from internet. It would be just empty, sort of, without it's like with no data. So this mobile needs to connect to some backend service to pull data, whether it is weather, or it could be some news, most recent articles, or notifications on Instagram, or whatever, a new feed on Facebook. So that's the data that this mobile is pulling from the internet. And the REST web services, as we can see here, enable this connection. So the developer doesn't have to have experience creating those web services on the server, but consuming. So this mobile is consuming those services. Strong analytical development skills, ability to work, demonstrate ability to, well, it's just fluff. So if you really think about what is important here, beyond, I'm not saying this is not important, but it does not really disqualify anyone, because whoever says that they cannot work well in an agile team, it makes sense, but it doesn't really tell us anything at the same time. So what is really important is the native experience with Objective-C or Swift. But now, look, this is quite annoying. We don't know from this job description which of these two languages do they really use in the company. So it's very likely they use either one or the other, because why would they use both? It's like, either or. These languages are substitutes. There are some instances when a company or a team may want to transition from the old application, which probably has been created in Objective-C, to a newer application, to rewrite it, and the new version would be in Swift. But yeah, I would probably ask this the hiring manager as the first thing. After I understand they're looking for a native developer, I would ask, okay, cool, but which programming language do you actually use right now? Is it Objective-C, or is it Swift, or is it both? And if both, then why? Why do you have both in place? And a developer may not know both. A developer may either know Objective-C or Swift. So if they use Swift, and you bring them developers who are strong in Objective-C, then it's not a good fit, right? Even though these languages are similar, but still it's not a good fit if they're looking for someone who can use Swift. So definitely a good question to ask the hiring manager. So thinking what is important is just this: Objective-C, Swift, iOS, and the rest, as you can see in this JD, is just fluff. We don't really know anything about the project. We don't know much about the team, which is quite a pity, right? Because there are hundreds or thousands of JDs, such as this one, on the internet. So the iOS developers just go there, they look at it, and it's like, no, again, nothing interesting here. So we don't know anything about the product itself, what kind of an application this is. I would like to be able to paint it for the developer to get him excited. But if we don't see any information in the JD, then we need to ask the hiring manager, obviously, right? So that's one of the things I would ask. What is Xcode is actually one of your questions. So yeah, that's a good question. I know it's a question for me. I would not ask this the hiring manager. Oh, that's a good one. I mean, I understand you are asking this to me. It's just sometimes, we don't want to ask hiring managers those questions that would reveal that we actually don't know much about this JD. So it just reminds me, how important it is to understand the IT terminology before you start interacting with hiring managers or with candidates, because you just want to do the legwork before you interact with them, so you ask the right questions. For example, with the Xcode, it's a tool they use every day. It's like the integrated development environment. So the keyword is IDE, integrated development environment, where it's just one tool they use all day. They don't have to switch, they don't have to log in elsewhere. They just start working at 9 a.m. and it's the only tool they use for the whole day. They have everything integrated in the one tool. So that's why it's called IDE, integrated development environment. You, for example, as recruiters, you need to go from LinkedIn to email to phone to, I don't know, some other tool or CRM system. So you switch between applications every time, but the developers only use one application, which is the IDE, and the IDE integrates everything. So Xcode is one of these tools. They can build a new version and send it to the phone. They can merge to a repository. They can do pretty much everything. So like everyone uses this anyway, so it doesn't really tell us anything about the requirement or the responsibility. It's the mainstream. So what I would ask further about the team, for example, or the product, what kind of the application they are building. Just it could be some really cool app. We don't know. If this would be some really cool app, then it's so much easier to get a new candidate excited, right? I would, for example, start selling to the candidate like, hey, like you can join as an iOS Swift developer and build this really cool app, that does X, Y, and Z, and lots of people will be using it. It's really popular. Look at these reviews. You will be really proud. In a year or two from now, it will be your baby, etc. So I would definitely like to understand more from the hiring manager about the application. So what else I would ask? I would ask about the team, the seniority, so we can come up with something cool. Like last time, remember, like we were writing some message that would get the developer excited. But from this JD, it's really hard to identify something exciting because it's just plain boring job requirement. Nothing really, just too generic. Implement iOS applications. Maybe this is an agency and maybe they create more applications every 3 months, every 6 months. That's also okay. In that case, I would position it as a great opportunity to be exposed to different applications every 3 months, so you can learn and grow and learn how to use different libraries every quarter, etc. So you can always find something interesting. You just need to step into the developer's shoes for a while and imagine what are they interested in. Cool. So now thinking about how to find this candidate. So how to find, well, I mean, it's quite straightforward, this role, because we are looking for an iOS developer, someone who would be using either Objective-C or Swift or both. And that's pretty much it. Oh, there is a question from Pedro. How do you search for Xamarin and iOS? They can use Xamarin as well. They could, actually, it comes back to what I was showing you right here. C#. C# is the programming language, and Xamarin is the framework that these C# developers would use. But in this case, we are not looking for a cross-platform developer. We are not looking for a hybrid developer. We are looking for a native iOS developer. So, you know what? I'll complete this right here because it's a good question that you asked. So Hopefully you can still see this whiteboard. Yeah, you should be able to see it. So now with JavaScript, someone already mentioned, who was it, Dimple? You mentioned React Native. Yes, Dimple, you mentioned React Native. So that's used with JavaScript. So JavaScript is the language, React Native is the framework. So React Native or Ionic or Titanium. And speaking of C#, Xamarin is here. Xamarin. Okay, so those developers who use C# language, they would choose Xamarin framework. Those developers who use JavaScript language would choose either React Native or Ionic or Titanium. Those developers who build native apps would choose either Java or Kotlin, Objective-C or Swift. Okay, that's we already covered. So now when you ask about Xamarin, you could, but not in this particular case, because it's a different kind of a skill set. It's a different programming language. And Dimple, you ask, what are they building on which platform? If they need someone to work on hybrid tech or React Native, experience they need. How do they know they need 4+ years of experience, budget for this position, negotiable, what frameworks, libraries? Yes. Also, for example, for the frameworks, in this case, if it is iOS, like you also don't want to overkill it with these questions. Like I, for example, would ask about frameworks in this context, JavaScript, because there are more React Native, Ionic, or Titanium. But in this case, this is a programming language, Objective-C or Swift, and they don't have to choose any frameworks within this context. It's not like with JavaScript language. So there is just one framework, for example, within C#, Xamarin. So they also don't really need to choose because there is nothing else to choose. Yeah, but like a great question is just maybe too generic, and you want to ask those relevant questions also, right? Natalie, the job ad for my client doesn't specify what you mentioned, but it says the team builds and maintains the mobile SDK that help mobile app companies integrate with our product. What kind of developer do they need? Oh yeah, that's interesting. And actually, when you say the job ad, it's probably, what do they send you? It's probably not the job ad, like ad as in advertisement, but rather they give you the job description, I assume, right? It's the rather boring, like, hey, this is what the developer will be working on. And that's usually very generic. It's super boring. I'm not saying in your case, but generally that's what we receive from hiring managers or internal HR. And it's our job as recruiters to transition from that super boring stuff to something more exciting, something that is more compelling and gets the developer's attention. So if you get it from the client, like that's amazing. Like you are so lucky. If they say the team builds and maintains mobile SDK that help mobile companies integrate. Look, there are, say if you imagine some mobile application, let's say I open up some, which one? For example, which one could I choose? Some app that has maps in the, gosh, I don't have any, none of them. Oh yeah, probably, yes, Bolt, for example. Say there is this app where you can get a car, right? And there is some map. Okay, so Bolt or Uber or whatever, and you have some map inside, right? You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can see some cars. So this company, Bolt or Uber, they have not created maps. They don't specialize in maps. Google Maps have created maps. They specialize in maps. And you can see their logo also here, Google. Can you see it right here on the bottom? It's right here. Oh, it focuses on me, but you can see it here, Google. So Google has created these maps. They specialize on maps for the last 10 years. They're really good at it. So it would be very inefficient for some other random company like Uber or Bolt or Wolt or whatever food delivery company to implement maps from scratch. So what do? Is they use Google Maps SDK and they plug it inside their application. So the SDK is like a module or a plugin. The SDK stands for Software Development Kit. And it's like some toolkit that other developers can use in their applications. So, and there are countless and countless of these SDKs out there for different purposes. Some of them are for maps. I can open up some other application. This was the one with cars, and you can see some cars driving on the street. But you can open up some other application, maybe food delivery, and there will be some other map. Well, it's quite slow in this case. Search. How can I search? Now this takes forever. Well, there's no map in this one, but you get the point, right? Like different companies, different applications can introduce the SDK and plug it in their application. So, someone needs to create the SDK, and it's just a piece of software at the end of the day. So they don't, probably your client, they don't create the whole application. They just create the plugin that other developers can use in their application. So in that case, they also use the same programming language, either Objective-C or Swift. They create the plugin, and then other developers use the plugin. And they need both Objective-C or Swift. And Dimple is asking, when they use the word product in JD or complex software, it already means they want React Native, right? When they use the word product or complex software, it already means they want React. Not really. No, because React Native is just a template. React Native is like a framework, and the framework is like a template in PowerPoint or template in Microsoft Word. Say, you guys, when you start a new project, not a project, but say a new document or a presentation, you don't want to start from scratch all the time. It would be very inefficient for you to start every presentation from scratch, from blank. So you just go to a Microsoft PowerPoint, or you go to Keynote on Mac, and you start some presentation from the template. And also developers, when they start a new project, they don't want to start from scratch. It would be just so inefficient, because pretty much every project at the end of the day has some registration, some login, some basic functionality, so they can just take a template and they build up the project on the template. So the React Native is just the template they use, and the template could be Ionic or Titanium. They have similar functionality, slightly different, but similar. So if they say complex software, it does not mean React Native. It just means it's complex software. It does not mean what template do they use. Okay, so coming back to my screen, if we were to look for this iOS native developer, well, then obviously we would look for iOS. That's like hello, of course. But I would also look for Objective-C or Swift as the keyword, right? We still don't know if the client uses Objective-C or Swift or both, but yeah, we could assume now. So say Swift, I could look for Swift programming language, and I see developers who have experience with Swift. I could also enter Objective-C as the skill, and I'll see also those who have experience with Objective-C. Okay, so these guys. So let's zoom into, what was it last time? We were looking for Bulgaria, so let's try Romania today. Where are you guys from, actually? I know some of you, but why don't you just put your country in chat and we will see where you guys from. Pedro is from Portugal. Cool. The first one, Depti, Romania. Yeah. Ecuador. Wow. London, Bulgaria. If you guys want to connect to each other and there is always some opportunity to collaborate, then feel free to drop your links in chat. Those of you who want to connect, and definitely there may be some opportunity just waiting for you. So what's my? Is it this one? Probably this one. So feel free to connect on LinkedIn if any of you is interested in some business connections. So now thinking about these developers, right? Like we are now looking at Cristiana Dugaru, Viril. So let's just open up a few profiles and we will see if any of them is a good fit. Zoe from Greece, cool. Oh, Mariah, hey, good to see you again. So look, like this is Cristiana Dugaru, senior iOS developer at Deutsche Bank. So she has been an iOS developer for the last 11 years. It's really crazy. And this is obviously for the position we were looking for is an overqualified candidate. Like she would be most likely way too expensive also because she works in a Deutsche Bank. So, maybe some corporate salary. Now the question is, she most likely works with native app. So let's see. Experienced iOS developer with telecommunications, skilled in Swift, Objective-C. Okay, so we can see right away that she's a native app developer. And she doesn't really need to write more. Just, iOS developer is an iOS developer. It is what it is. There is no catch. It's just native or cross-platform, but in her case, it's super clear. It's a native developer, not a cross-platform one. So in this case, she's overqualified. What about Virgil? Let's look at his profile. Senior iOS developer, mobile developer, consultant, freelancer, 5 years experience. And where is he from? Romania, right? So Swift, Objective-C, Firebase. So some of these backend services. And sometimes developers just learn how to use some backend system, or for Firebase, for example, is one of these platform as a service kind of providers, where the mobile application, iOS, well, I'm looking at Android, which is my device, but in this case, we are looking at iOS developers. They need their application to connect to some backend system. So Firebase is, for example, one of these backend systems that he has been using. So I work as a senior developer, contractor, freelancer. Okay, so now it also depends if the hiring manager is looking for a full-time developer or a freelancer, someone as a contractor. So in this case, this person would definitely be a better fit for the contract kind of a job, maybe some part-time job, because he most likely has some other gigs already in progress. And the program language of choice is Swift. And it comes back to what I was mentioning before. Objective-C is the sort of older programming language that Apple has created, and Swift has been created to replace it. So it's quite popular among developers, which is also one of the ways how to attract developers to join another company. If you know that someone is using Objective-C, then you may approach such developer and say, like, hey, use Objective-C, and I have here an opportunity for you to work with Swift, and you can increase your market value as a Swift developer. So that's one of the ways, or some cool phrases that you can use. Everyone wants to increase their market value, right? Who doesn't want to increase your market value? Maybe I should ask the other way. Who wants to increase the market value? They also mention Xcode. And some of these other libraries or modules are sort of minor. So if you just look at the whole overall iOS development landscape, as I mentioned, it could only be native or cross-platform. If native, then either Objective-C or Swift, and the rest is just sort of minor. So there are some libraries or some different ways how to create or how to embed some functionality. But it's pretty much what it is, right? You just focus on iOS and Swift or iOS and Objective-C. So if where I'm heading is that as soon as you understand the overall IT landscape, then sourcing is not that difficult, even in IT, as you can see in this particular case, even if this developer is sort of overqualified, like 5-6 years experience, he would be quite expensive. So let's open up some other, and we can tweak the search further in a while. So again, iOS developer, iOS for the last 5-6 years. So quite senior one, again, not a meteor. I would rather frame him as a senior developer in orange. So maybe not the easiest quick win. And this developer has been an intern and since 2017. So he has this 3-4 years experience. He could be probably a good fit. And we cannot see more on his profile, just some of these skills. So again, Objective-C, iOS, Xcode, well, everyone uses it anyway. And when I say everyone, probably, I don't know, 90% or 95. So maybe there are some exceptions, but it's the majority, vast majority. Git, just to store code to a repository, and some other, UI kit just to visually place those elements. So on a high level, he could be a good fit. Now, when I'm looking at his profile, well, this doesn't really tell us anything, design patterns, OOP, Cocoa attached. So we would definitely need to dive deeper. And what I usually do is I give them an assignment. But prior to sharing an assignment, I mean technical assignment, I need to get them excited about the opportunity. So first, they need to be interested. I need to pre-frame them so they are like really excited. And then I share the technical assessment. So we will get some objective feedback about their skills. So yeah, like Florin could be, now when I'm just looking at his profile, iOS developer, Swift, Objective-C. Yeah, he doesn't have much on his profile, but as I mentioned, this is a very straightforward role. The experience is just right, 3-4 years experience. So he's not too junior, he's not too senior. He does not use hybrid applications or does not create hybrid applications. Maybe next time we can look at some of these developers who use either React Native, as Dimple mentioned, or C# with Xamarin, as some of you also mentioned. So now the question is, what do we write him? What do we write to Florin if we know that he's an iOS developer, he uses Objective-C and Swift? How do we get him excited, especially given the fact that we don't know much about this position, right? Just that the company is seeking for iOS developer, cutting edge iOS applications. Everyone thinks their app is cutting edge, so it doesn't really tell us anything. Hi, candidate name. It's a great start always. Like, hi, yeah, definitely. The candidate must possess a passion for mobile. Ability to design, develop, and test iOS applications. Okay, so this is an agency kind of a job where the developer will be developing more applications every 3 months, every 6 months for different clients. So now when we look at his profile, I'm not sure about tell enough, but let's just open up to understand more about the company. Leading provider, connected car, So or like AT&T. Okay, so maybe they have some internal application that this developer is building, personalized navigation, mapping. Okay, so most likely, based on what we can see, this developer is building, one application for a year or 2 years, or maybe 4 years. Since he started, he's building and tweaking the one application. And now we have another opportunity for him where he can build, some cutting edge applications, or just say, some modern applications for some clients, in an agency. So you see this opportunity where we are heading. We are heading from, let me just take a screenshot of this. A screenshot, like this is not a screenshot. This is a regular old school whiteboard. So I'm taking a screenshot. That's a really funny way to say it, right? Hold a sec, guys. Okay, I took the screenshot, and what I just want to show you is that we need to think about candidates and how they change careers and what are their motivations. So imagine this developer right here, he's here. Most likely he's frustrated for some reason. We don't know the reason yet, but there may be some frustration. If there is no frustration, he will not leave a job anyway. So let's hope he's frustrated for some reason. And we have here some other opportunity for him. So our opportunity, so this is the candidate. And we want the candidate to go from where he is to our amazing opportunity. Okay, but he will only go and change the company if there is some frustration, if he either feels that he's not paid well enough, or maybe he's tired of working on the one application, or maybe he wants to change location, or maybe he's tired of working from home, or maybe he's tired of going to an office every day, right? Like there needs to be something that triggers his desire to leave. And changing jobs is not comfortable, so there needs to be some motivation. So let me just stop sharing for a sec so you can see it properly. Okay, so the candidate and our opportunity. So now we just looked at his profile, and we see that he is working in a corporate environment. Corporate, and our opportunity is an agency. So we want him to go from a corporate environment to an agency. What do we know about corporates? Well, we know, for example, that it's rather slow. We know that it could be a little boring. It's not challenging. Okay, so just in general, let's not generalize too much, but usually corporates are rather slow, not challenging, rather boring. You just work on one product for the time being. But in an agency, they can change every 3 months or every 6 months. It could be much more like fast-paced environment. Okay, fast-paced environment. So we want this guy to feel the pain, like, hey, you are working on this, and it may be, not challenging you enough. Maybe you are not growing as fast as you wanted. If you join this agency, you will grow much faster. You will join this team, and you will be delivering new applications every 3 months or every 6 months. So, suddenly he will realize, oh, wow, this is actually a really good idea. Like, boom, this is a good idea to leave my comfortable job and to go for this other opportunity, because I can learn more, I can grow faster, I can enjoy the work more because of the fast-paced environment and more change and different products. So say more products. Okay, so this is the difference when we compare the agency and the corporate job where he is currently at. This is our opportunity. This is his existing job. We are presenting an opportunity. So we want him to change and how to sell this. And now we already have a few ideas, right? If I were just calling him right now, like that's what I would tell him, like, hey, you are now working at Telenav. From my experience, it may not be the most challenging kind of environment. I've heard from some other people who work there, if that's true. I haven't in this case, but if, then I would say I've heard from some other people who also work in Telenav that it's rather slow. You may be working on just one application, and as a result, you may not really progress as some of your peers probably are. So I have some really cool opportunity for you to join an agency. And in this agency, you will be working for 3 clients every year, developing new applications, iOS applications using Objective-C and iOS. So the technical stack remains the same, but the scope of the job changes. So you will be able to grow much faster as a developer, and you can become a senior developer much faster thanks to the team members and thanks to the chance to work on different products every quarter. Okay, and this way, like, he would probably be like, oh my God, like that sounds great. Or maybe he would just say like, oh, that sucks. I really like my comfort in this company. So it depends, right? But this is how I would approach it. So then it's just the question what to write him. And let me just look at your comments. I found your CV on this and this, and your tenure at Telenav is impressive. Well, I slightly hesitate with this, right? Because if you just look at his profile, then it's not too impressive, right? He's just working there for 5 years, and we don't know anything more. So just by looking at this is not impressive. So, and he's aware of this, right? He knows that he has nothing written here. He's just iOS developer. No results, no a transformation, nothing. It's just so I would rather not play this string yet, or this guitar, or I don't know what's the term, English term. Like you can use this for some other probably managers further in their career where they have lots of results and what they have achieved and whatnot. But in this case, I would hesitate writing something like you just mentioned. I found your CV and your tenure is impressive. Okay, what else? To discuss an opportunity. Yeah, that sounds okay. Sounds okay. I got requirement for iOS. They're looking for design pattern, and in iOS, I don't understand what design pattern. Yeah, sorry, this is a slightly different kind of a question, Abhilasha. Let me just go through the other suggestions and I get back to design patterns. I always try to explain candidate why I think she could be a good match and why I'm contacting him, her. It's more personal, and you also show it's not only the interest, but you actually look and read the profile. Definitely. If there is something to read, like in this case, there is not much to read, but that's also okay. In this case, it's very straightforward. More personal approach, yes. Corporate work on 3 to 5 year pilot projects to large giants. Yeah, that's fair enough, yes. But in a corporate environment, you are, as a developer, usually just a little piece in this huge machine. And he may be just focusing on just one little aspect of this application. Instead of, in an agency, he may be responsible for the whole application. So he may have much more responsibility, much more opportunity to grow and learn. And stability, 4 years down in skills, we can check what he uses, right? Yes, we've been looking at these skills. Yes. This is an opportunity 100% for you. Yeah, Adelina, that's that's really catchy. Yeah, but we also need to be like cautious, because we don't really know if this is 100% for him, right? Like we will know after we ask if he really struggles with this, we can ask, for example, hey, after we are on a call with him, we can ask, hey, what was his name? Florin. Hi, Florin. How does it feel to work in this corporation? Like, you've been there for 4 years. Is it still all right? And he says like, oh gosh, like, yeah, my son was just born, so I appreciate the stability, and I'm not really the kind of guy who would work for 12 hours a day. And so in that case, you just say like, okay, well, this would not be 100% match for you, because yeah, like here you would need to work for more than 8 hours a day, and it's not as easy, chill out kind of a job. So that's not 100. But if he says, gosh, like, yeah, I'm sick and tired of this corporate environment, like so much bureaucracy, and I really hate how slow this is, and I cannot really decide on anything. Then you say like, hey, you know what? I have something, 100% match for you. Something that can, as I mentioned before. Okay, so now it's just the question, what do we really write him? So we could say something like, and let's do something short and sweet. Hi, Florin. So what would be the subject? Hi, Florin. I've noticed you work in Telenav, or you have been working in Telenav for the last 4 years. Like this is some sort of a bridge, which, as you mentioned, it helps him to see that I visited his profile and I know a little more about him. So you work in Telenav for the last 4 years. And now I want to sort of slowly, check if he has these kind of issues, and I can present this agency opportunity. So I could say something like, you've been working Telenav for the last 4 years. I'm there is an agency. Well, we can tweak this later. I'm just flush it out. There is an agency that is expanding. Oh, that's so boring, right? There's an agency, like, who cares? No, that's not a good opening. For the last 4 years. I could just ask like, hey, I'm wondering if you are open for a new opportunity, but it's still too early. I would like to first check if he has some kind of a struggle or if he's not enjoying it anymore. So I can say something like, a few iOS developers joined our client recently, because they wanted to work on a variety of applications, and I was wondering if you'd also like to, and now some of these, like, if you would also like to enjoy some fast-paced environment, or if you'd like to grow faster, if you'd also like to enjoy or experience this kind of a fast-paced environment, let me know if you are open to talk, or open for a new opportunity. If you're open for a new opportunity, and I'll tell you more about about these cool projects, about these cool applications we are building. Okay, so best Michael. So let me read it again. Hi Florian, I've noticed you have been working in Telenor for the last 4 years. A few iOS developers joined our client recently because they wanted to work on a variety of applications, on a variety of cool just applications. And I was wondering if you'd also like to experience this kind of fast-paced environment in an international agency. Okay, so he's working in a corporate environment. Now we present him an agency, would like to change. Let me know if you are open to, gosh, like, do you guys use Grammarly? It's such a good tool, Grammarly. It just corrects my my English. I'm obviously not a native speaker, so it's super helpful. Let me know if you're open to a new opportunity, and I'll tell you more about these cool applications that we are building. Best Michael. So let's see. I'm just sending it over. Cool apps, cool iOS apps. Again, I want just some hook, right? Like I don't say a new opportunity for iOS developer, just like cool iOS applications. And he's like, what cool iOS applications? And he starts reading. So that's why the subject needs to be some good hook to get the attention. So if you guys are receiving my emails, I also always think about that email subject, some good hook to get your attention. Like, oh, what is Michael again writing us? And you open it up and then you read. Okay, I'm sending it over. What do you guys think? Shall I hit the send button, or would you still improve something? Shall I send it? Yes or no? Send? Yes? Depty? Yeah. Okay, well then I'm sending it. Let's see, and I'll let you know again next week if he responds. So this is how I think about it. And obviously, I cannot really explain everything in this short message, but as soon as I get him on call, I would be thinking about this new opportunity, where he is at right now, and what kind of opportunity do I have for him. It is different. So what are the advantages from his standpoint? What what is interesting for him, and how his career can change based on or after he actually accepts this kind of a job. So yeah, I guess this is it. If you guys at any point would like to become members of the Tech Recruitment Academy and get much more content and more ideas and more feedback, so it's not just a one-way webinar, but obviously we have also some calls, member-only calls, where you can also submit your JD and we can look at it and I can give you feedback and some ideas and hints and whatnot. You can join our job portal, so you can start submitting your clients. So there is a lot. You can just, again, as I mentioned, go to the Tech Recruitment Academy, and you can, yeah, thanks Pedro. And you can anytime techrecruitmentacademy.com, and you can become a member. So we organize these sourcing webinars, but a lot more with all these mind maps and ebooks, and yeah, there is just a lot. We've been creating these for the last 2 years, but I also recruit for my clients. So it's usually very hands-on, as you've probably seen, even in the past. So yeah, if there's anything we could help you with my colleagues, even to earn more money on the side, because at the end of the day, you may have a great job, but at some point you hit some ceiling in terms of your commissions, but you can submit candidates, from your existing talent pool to our clients, and you can get some additional commissions, which is, who wouldn't want this kind of side income, right? So just let me know, visit Tech Recruitment Academy and become a member. member. It will be great. So with that, thanks a lot, guys, for this feedback. Thanks, Depti. Thanks, Pedro. Thanks, Natalie. Thanks, Adela. Thanks, everyone, for being here and engaging. It's really cool that you are writing comments and everything. So we will keep in touch. So see you guys next week. We'll be looking for some other IT professionals, sourcing them, sending messages. So I'll keep you posted also about what Florin responds. So yeah, let's be productive. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.